welcome to another edition of Tech Tuesday, presented by Delta Media Group, where if they could have just turned that ship and pointed it at the other ship and sent it into hyperspace and destroyed the bad guy's ship all from the beginning, why didn't they just do that to start off with? Also, when they did it, like, you're telling me that this far in the future, in a galaxy far, far away, they don't have the ability to pilot that thing by remote control? That seems silly. Silly. All right, so today we are going to take a look at a topic that we've covered once before, but it has a tendency to get complicated quickly. But basically, we're going to talk about adding in a domain name, and now we've added the ability that you can manage your DNS records through the DeltaNet. So it's a little bit of a complicated topic, but I think we can get through it. So let's jump into the DeltaNet and take a look. So first of all, if you have a domain name of your own, so say you've gone to Network Solutions or GoDaddy or 2Cows, are they still around? Yeah, I think they're still around. Basically, any domain registrar and purchased a domain name of your own, you can add it to the DeltaNet so that that domain will point to your website. So to do that, I'll go down here to Website and then down to Domains. So here under Domains, you can see I've already added a domain. So this is one that I purchased through GoDaddy, and then I went in here and added it. If I wanted to add a new domain, I would click here on Set Up New Domain Name. I would enter my domain name here, and keep in mind this is just the domain name itself, and you can see the example there. So I wouldn't want to paste in something like, oh, I can't even type this morning. I guess that's most mornings, really. So I wouldn't want to type in something like that. I want to put in just what the actual domain is. So that doesn't include the www either. That's just something dot something. So in my case, wolfarth.net, you might have bestrealestateagent.com or .realtor or whatever your domain is. So you put that in. The confirmation email address will automatically fill in with whatever your public address is, but if you want the confirmation email to go somewhere else, you can change that. What that email is when you submit this domain, it's going to submit it to our support team. We're going to look over those domains, and we look over them a few times a day, and just verify that the domain is owned by someone and that it isn't owned by somebody whose name is entirely Chinese characters. We find those a lot. And we make sure that it's a valid domain and everything, that there's no issues there. And then once that looks good, we approve it. When we approve it, you'll get an email, and that is the confirmation email, and this is the address that will go to. The confirmation email basically just says that your domain has been processed. You can now change your name servers. So in order to give us control of the domain, so you still own the domain, it's still yours, but to give us control of it so that we can affect what the domain actually does, you'll need to log into your registrar's account and then change your name servers to ns1.deltagroup.com and ns2.deltagroup.com, which you can see it says right here. And it'll also say that in the confirmation email. So what that does is allow us to control what the domain actually does. So now, once you've done that, it'll take a little time for the name server change to propagate, but once it does, that domain will be under our control, and that domain will point to your website. So here's the next piece, and the new piece that we've added. So again, I'm under Website and Domains. You can see once the domain's been added to our system and been approved, I have a few options here, and the one we're going to look at today is Manage DNS. So if I click on that, you can see it loads up an actual DNS editor page. So this controls all of the internal DNS records, the subdomains that are all related to your domain name. Now, where this is mostly important to you is if you have, say, email through your domain, there are records that have to go in here that are responsible for making sure that email gets to your account through your domain name. So if I had harley@wolfarth.net and I had an email account set up there, and let's say GoDaddy was hosting my email, I would have to put records in here that would indicate to anybody sending email to that address that it should go to GoDaddy servers and be delivered to me. So I realize how complicated that sounds. But in order to add records, so the point is you can go to this page and you can add any records you want to your domain through the DeltaNet now. So once you've changed the name service to our control, these are the records that will control what your domain does. So you can see we have SOA record, which is just a standard record, and we put that in place for you, and we lock that one out so you can't change that one. The name servers just indicate what the name servers should be according to our system, which have to be the ns1.deltagroup.com and ns2.deltagroup.com, because that's what, if you haven't set the name servers to that, then these settings won't affect what your domain does at all. You have the A record, which is the primary record that controls what your domain does, or when you just type in wolfarth.net in this case, it translates to this IP address. So that's what this means. That's what makes it go to the website. And then CNAME records, you have this www record by default. So those are all the standard DNS records that we enter automatically that are all locked out, so you can't change any of those. And the idea behind that is that you wouldn't want to change any of those anyway. So the beauty is you can't go in here and remove anything that will actually break what your domain does as it pertains to going to your website. So that's the cool thing about having these records locked out. Now, if I wanted to add a new record, I can go up here to the top, I can click Add a New Record, and if I was adding a email-based records or MX records, for example, I would click here, I would select MX as my record type. I would give that record a name. For MX records, the vast majority of the time, you're going to leave that with just that @ sign there. And then for content, we'll enter whatever our email host has given us for what the record should be. And sometimes there are multiple records, but it just depends on your mail host. But for example, if I had my email hosted through GoDaddy, this aspmx.l.google.com is going to be one of those MX records. So I'll put that in. I'll put in its priority, which I think is a 1 for that if I remember correctly, and hit Create Record. And there you go. So now if I scroll down here, look at MX records, you can see that MX record's in place. From there, I can click Edit, so I can change that record, or I can click on Delete if I want to get rid of it. And that's really all there is to it. So you have a little bit of background as far as how DNS works and what this actually does. But at the end of the day, what you'll use this for mostly is if you talk to an email host, you want to have an email account through your domain, you'll get your accounts all set up through them, and then they will give you the records that you need to enter. And then this is where you can go to enter those. So you have the same option for any other records in here. So like I said, MX records are going to be the most common, and sometimes for mail hosts you might have to enter more than one type of record. So you have that MX record, you might have to enter some A records or CNAME records, but your mail host will give you the instructions on all those and tell you exactly what it is you need to enter there. So it's not as complicated as it sounds. Now also, if you have any custom functionality attached to your domain, so if you're familiar with DNS, know that you have the ability through the DeltaNet now to go in and actually manage what all those records do. So you can go in and make any changes you need to, or if you use your domain for any other things, you need any other subdomains added, you have the ability to do that now. So that's all there is to it. So as always, thanks a lot for joining me. I realize DNS and domains tend to be a complicated topic, but we're always here for you if you need us, so feel free to give us a call or send an email into support@deltagroup.com, and we'll be happy to help you out with this or anything else. So, thanks a lot for joining me, and I will see you again next week.